So this is our bottom 5 states of our hijinks journey. I realise it's always a bit fraught with potential annoyances when you have to tell people that you don't like their state. So if you're from any of these states, sorry. If you happen to like them for whatever reason, maybe we didn't see the right part. But think of this as going on some bad first dates where enough unpleasant things happen that you didn't want a second one. And that's how we feel about these 5 places. So, number 5 is Arkansas. Now, Arkansas probably isn't the worst place in the world, but it just didn't pop for us. It's also very underdeveloped. It was one of the few places where there was so little road that we actually had to go back about 100 miles or so to go where we wanted to go next. And we weren't a great fan of that. There was actually a woman from California who lived there because of family who told us not to live in Arkansas, so that, was a contributing factor. There are also a lot of truckers there, and that just meant that the roads that they did have were full of semi-trucks, which made driving a bit challenging.
Their interstate we were one of the only cars on it. But no, it just, nothing really went well there. And it was quite humid as well.
Yeah, it was humid and overcast, and I realised that the weather probably isn't always humid and overcast, but that did make us like it less than if it had been sunny and lovely. Number 4 is Georgia. Now, Georgia was at a great disadvantage in that if you've seen our top 5, its neighbours were both in it, so it might not have stood a chance compared to South Carolina and then Florida. But something we didn't like about what we saw, which was mainly Savannah and the stretch of road before and after it. Savannah had a lot of run-down houses. It did have some lovely houses as well, but the ones that were run-down were very run-down, and there were a lot of them.
Yeah, it had a sort of shabby chic look about it, where it was old, but it wasn't that well kept. When we went into Savannah, they had this, it was like a welcome centre, but it wasn't the state welcome centre. That was somewhere else. A bus company had got the top spot for welcome centres and had put a fake one there, and it was really there to just do bus tours. And I thought that was a little bit cheeky. The other thing that happened was we managed to bump in to a fan of Louis Farrakhan selling a newspaper about the Nation of Islam. Now, the Nation of Islam isn't the religion Islam. It's this crackpot, black, racist sect who hate white people. And I was just trying to buy a newspaper, but that again was... Actually, that would be a pretty bad first date in terms of that metaphor. And we had people shout at us and things. So that wasn't good, and we just left.
Yes, we actually spent less than a whole day in Georgia, but none of it was very good. The next state, number 3, is Indiana. Now, you may remember, if you've been watching our videos for a long time, that Indiana had terrible driving. Not just that there was traffic or anything, but they were viciously angry. And I don't really like what that says, at least about the people of Indianapolis. It made us not want to live there or spend much time there. There are also many potholes on the roads of Indianapolis. We stayed in one of the worst hotels of the tour where, actually this mainly happened to you, Chris, as you're the one who got woken up.
Oh, there was some bug in the bed.
And in addition to the bug?
Yes, someone was knocking on the doors at 4 in the morning, and yeah, just didn't feel that safe there. So we moved on.
Yes, so we didn't see a lot of Indiana. It probably has better points, but we didn't enjoy what did happen to us there.
And at number 2 is Connecticut.
Connecticut is a state that looks rich on the surface, and it has high taxes, but it also has a lot of people that I don't think are benefiting from that. We went to the city of Hartford, and we drove all the way around their city centre, and it looked very poor. It looked like people there were doing badly. Seriously, if you live in Connecticut and you're not a millionaire, move anywhere else. It's like you could see what would happen if we got utter inequality, no middle class. Connecticut is an example of that. And given we want to be middle class, we're not moving to Connecticut.
Yeah. Also, the weather wasn't very good.
It did rain torrentially most of the time we were there, which didn't help things.
And the traffic was slow, so it took a long time to leave. And at number 1 is Mississippi. MISSISSIPPI. We had a terrible time in Mississippi. It was sort of weird and empty, and it was underdeveloped. It made the rest of the South look rich. It was a strange place, and we stopped somewhere where we nearly got carjacked. And then we couldn't get any wine because it was Sunday, and it's just terrible.
I think someone actually growled at us. You know, like a dog growls. Someone growled at us, which hasn't happened to me anywhere in life before.
Yeah, we wandered into this campground, and there was just this father and son just looking and it was just terrible. I didn't like it at all. I can see why it's the home of the blues, because it was just depressing, and it just didn't click whatsoever. That was the place, more than anywhere else in America, that had abandoned buildings. There were abandoned gas stations. There was a supermarket that was covered in weeds. It was just weird.
Also, like Indiana, we went to a pretty terrible hotel. But unlike Indiana, where it was before we really got into TripAdvisor, I had to work so hard to find what was still a horrible, horrible hotel. So I don't even recommend staying overnight in Mississippi if you can avoid it.
That was the 48th best state that we visited. There might be lovely places there. It's just that we skillfully avoided them. But anyway, that was the top 5 worst states, or the bottom 5 best states.